my dance, make it hurt.
Hello, welcome to Project Passion, the podcast made to inspire you to follow your passion and turn it into a successful business or career. My name is Joy Thompson, and this week I'm joined by Cleveland Hughes. He is the head coach of Mayweather Boxing and Fitness in Chicago River North, and he's also the founder of the Healing Mitts Boxing Training System, which is made to help people heal through boxing. Just remember, guys, if this is your first time coming over to the channel and you do enjoy the content, go down there, hit the like button, hit subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you never miss an episode. This is going to be a good one, guys. Make sure you stick around and let's get into it. Thank you for coming on the show today, Cleveland, man. How's it going? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, look, I know obviously in the introduction there, I kind of give people a general idea about you, but do you want to kind of hit people with your sort of elevator pitch, who you are, what you do, where you're from?
Sure. Well, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area in California, but I actually live in Chicago, Illinois. I own a gym up in Evanston, and I'm the head coach over at the Mayweather uh, Boxing and Fitness in River North. And I basically help people fight anxiety, stress, and depression through the sport of boxing. And I got started boxing because of my own fight with mental health illness. And that's my little short spiel. I'm sure we're going to dive a little deeper.
So I know before, obviously, we jumped on here to record, I did say to you that I'd seen online you didn't start boxing until later in life. Is that right? Or was there any time when you were a teenager or a younger child you had done boxing?
Well, no, I had always had an interest in boxing, but my parents, didn't really think it was that great of an idea. There was actually a boxing gym in within walking distance from where we lived, and there was never a conversation about me getting into boxing. So yeah, I did start. I started boxing when I was I think 19.
Was there a plan before then? Because obviously before then you would have went to school, you would have had an idea where you wanted to go for a career, for a job. Was it vastly different to being a coach in boxing?
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I always had dreams of being a professional athlete. And I wanted to either play professional basketball or professional football. And unfortunately, I didn't grow. I didn't grow enough. I wasn't big enough. Like, the truth of the matter is by the time you're, a freshman in high school, you probably know you're on the pro track. You've already got coaches and scouts and things talking to you about the pros, and I didn't have that. So after high school, I didn't really know what it was that I was going to do.
Have you ever fought competitively, or do you coach for the physical fitness, mental health side of it, or have you done any competitive fighting up to this point?
Both, both.
Both, both.
Yeah, so I've done competition and planning on doing some more competition here later on this year, hopefully. And yes, I coach for the physical side, and then also coach people for competition as well.
Okay, okay. So obviously, as we said, you're the head coach down there at Mayweather Boxing Fitness, Chicago River North. And if anyone wants to go, obviously, your social media handle will be on the screen. Go down, check his social media platform out. And you have a lot of content on there, people training, workouts you do. What are you guys getting up to down there?
The Mayweather and boxing and fitness brand is fairly new as a service that is being offered. Obviously the Mayweather name is huge and has been huge in the sport of boxing. I don't know, probably about 20 years or so, or maybe even more. Well, we could say more because it probably goes back, to
It's
Floyd
Father.
Senior and Roger. Yeah, so I mean, they got this long lineage, and basically what we do at the Mayweather and boxing and fitness gym is we use we don't and sometimes sometimes you would hear it being sold as Floyd's training routine.
Hmm.
But I don't think there is an average Joe that is going to be able to withstand the training of a Floyd Mayweather. So
No.
I would consider it a not watered down, but a brought down to
Yeah.
everyday people. For everyday people, some of the things Floyd does in his training, we've made that available for everyday people.
Nice. And you're obviously the head coach. Are you the owner of that gym as well? Because I believe it is a franchise, isn't it? The Mayweather gyms.
It is a franchise, and I am not the owner there. I don't have that kind of collateral yet, not yet. It's quite a. I imagine that it's extremely expensive to buy into the franchise,
Mhm.
but I do work very closely with the owner. I imagine I in my mind I'm her right hand person when it
Yeah.
comes to anything that we do in that gym. But yeah, I'm just working there as the head coach right now.
Yes. And how did you get started there? Were you there before you went off and done your own thing, or did you then get, headhunted, or for example, to come in and work for that gym?
Well, I've always, ever since I started training a long time ago, I've always had like my own training. Like I've always trained my own clients, always found my own clients and such. And the owner of the Mayweather gym, she is also a trainer, right? And so me and her, we worked together at another gym. And she came to me once and said, "Hey, I need to work on my boxing a little bit more because I'm getting ready to open up this Mayweather gym, and I need to have my speed and I got to look good when I'm doing this boxing thing." So she came to train with me for a few sessions here, and then later on she transitioned and said, "Hey, I could use your help." And I was like, "All right, cool, great, I can help you." So I went about it and started helping her.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And is it sort of? I know it's quite high intensity workouts you guys do. Is it sort of combat hit boxer size based exercise that you guys are doing?
Yeah, I would say that is the the words that you would use. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's yeah, what we call it is box circuit hit and box
Cool.
circuit power and championship boxing. So yes,
Mhm.
it is boxing based off of a 3 minute round. But there is, there's heavy bags, there's skill mills. So it's basically a treadmill that's built for sprinting. There's exercises, there's battle ropes. It's like a boot camp on steroids.
Hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty high intensity.
And this is probably going to sound like a very stupid question, but I know at least one person's going to be thinking it while listening. Does Floyd Mayweather attend the gym at any point?
Up to this point, Floyd Mayweather has not walked through our doors, but I believe it's on his to-do list to go to all of the locations and meet the staff and do a whole, because Floyd comes to
Yeah.
town, everybody wants to come out, so it's
Yeah.
just like a huge push on the business. So
I mean, he's a very busy
because of
man. He doesn't exactly
he's
have the
very busy.
time.
Yeah, but I think if it wasn't for the whole COVID-19 thing, he would have been in our gym sooner. But I think he would probably be coming out later on.
Yeah, of course. So another sort of aspect of your business and your boxing is the Healing Mitts intentional boxing training system. Do you want to tell us about that there as well?
Yeah, so Healing Mitts is my own personal brand and my own personal system that I developed over the course of the last, I don't know, I started boxing in 2009 and the system was born in 2019. So over 10 years, the lessons that I learned in boxing, beyond just like how to throw a jab, how to throw a hook, the mental side of boxing and how I ultimately became the guy that I am through, because I had a lot of issues early on with depression, anxiety, stress, not being able to really control my emotions the way I wanted to. Boxing gave me all those tools to do so. And basically, what ended up happening is probably, I think, in 2018, I moved to Chicago and I wanted to be a full time boxing coach. And when you start a new chapter, and obviously I had coached boxing before, but it wasn't like my full time focus. I started asking people, well, why do you box? What is it, like, why would you want to come to a boxing gym and pay me money to train? And for the most part, most people came back with an answer that sounded like something like, "Oh man, I've been really depressed, or I'm extremely anxious, or I'm really stressed out at work, I'm going through a divorce." Something was like something weighing heavily on them mentally. And so I was like, well, maybe I'm doing this. Maybe I don't have the right approach, because if that's what my clients need, They need a therapeutic workout. What can I do to make it more therapeutic? And so that's where the healing intentional boxing training system was born. It was born on the idea, on the not the idea, the question of what about boxing is therapeutic. And I found it to be four things. And I created a system around those four lessons that I teach to people every day. And I hope that some of them do experience it outside of the gym. Like the things that we practice in the gym helps them outside of the gym for the most part. And yeah, so it turned out to be it's a whole movement, of people coming to me because they're stressed out and anxious, and I'm helping them feel better through the sport of boxing.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible. And I know I did see on your website that is something obviously you guys talk a lot about, that it is more of it's a fitness program as well, but it's also a sort of a philosophy. And the goal is healing through boxing and developing yourself, getting better through the sport and the act of boxing.
Yes, yes. Learning the lessons that, world champions go through, like what does it mean? Like, what kind of mental preparation do you need in order to get in the ring and do a professional fight? Like what level of focus, what level of managing anxiety, what level of confidence do you need to do something so dangerous, you know? And that's what it's all about, is delivering those lessons to people, to everyday people, so they can too, live their life like a champion.
That's incredible. And obviously, you're trying to make this as accessible as possible. Through your website, you have classes, you have virtual classes. People can even buy memberships for online content. You do special events. You're really getting out there. You're trying to reach as many people as possible. It's obvious. Is there a certain market that's best? So obviously, you work in both. You work in the Mayweather side, which is very heavy fitness based, and then you work in this side, which is people more interested for the mental health benefit. Is there one of those that actually has more of a draw for the common person?
Um I think that people do it for the same reason, regardless if they're going to Mayweather or if they're coming to me. I think that for the most part people are doing it because they live up here and they want to get out of it. Because if they really just wanted a to just get fit, there is a thousand different ways to go about it. And usually the first place people go is to more like like a boot camp, or a more traditional fitness program with nutrition and all those other things. But people that got stuff going on up here, and they really need to quiet it, they go to do something more intense like CrossFit or boxing, something that gets them out of their head, kind of thing. So the most of the people who are coming to me are looking for some sort of mental health benefit.
Incredible. And this is something you're trying to develop. I know from seeing your content you post on social media, you're trying to build a team around this healing mitch. You're getting other, it's not psychiatrists, it's psychotherapists, I think it was. You and trying to build the brand up, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I don't know if I have any. I think I do have. I don't think I have a psychiatrist on the team yet, but I have multiple therapists, multiple social workers. I have a doctor, and I have a bunch of different mental health professionals to work with. Because when you're dealing with such a population, you're bound to run into somebody that is outside of your scope of practice. I am not a therapist and I'm not a doctor, even though I can facilitate people with anxiety and depression and stress through a workout. Doesn't mean that if they need more help, that this is the answer, because it's not. It's a step on the road, but it's not the end all be all when it comes to this mental health thing. Most people need to be seeing somebody to help them cope in other ways as well.
Yeah. And you currently have one location, do you, that you have an actual gym class setup?
Yes, I have one location right now.
Nice. And you do have plans to expand that, I assume, keep growing your brand, grow your reach, and go out there and help as many people as possible.
Yes, yes, and I don't particularly want to own all the locations. What I want to do is I want to make the program available at already existing gyms.
Amazing, yeah. That's great. That's great. And you obviously developed this yourself. Is there been any point where you've had to kind of go in, obviously now meeting all these new people that you're bringing into your team, where you kind of go in and develop certain elements of your course and certain teaching parts that you see from going over time that can give better impact or can actually be changed to do better?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always this is a ever evolving thing, and I think that what's happening over time is there's more details. I think I spent a lot of time figuring out these four principles, and I couldn't. I don't know if I can expand too much further beyond the four principles, but working with these therapists, and I'm using them as as supervision slash consultants, and so they're helping me educate myself and helping me educate my future trainers.
Yeah. And do you have other people working for you other than yourself being the main practitioner? Is there anyone else that is running these workouts and doing the physical side along with you?
I'm very close, very close to having more coaches offering the program in different areas here in the United States. Um, I'm basically a few weeks away from my first certification workshop where I'm going to go and teach, 10 trainers in different cities, some here in Chicago, some in different areas, about the program. And then we're going to start trying to, get deals with gyms so that we can run the program out of there and, help more people.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I know, obviously, everyone listening, with COVID obviously being such a prominent thing last year, year and a half, mental health now is coming a lot more into the picture. A lot more people are talking about the effects of lockdown and the actual pandemic itself. I mean, especially here in Britain, in the UK, the effects of the lockdowns that we have over here in the tier systems on mental health is detrimental to the country more than anything else that could be happening. And I think a lot, and obviously, I run a digital marketing agency, so my clients are in the martial arts industry. So even seeing it myself, there's such an uptrend in it. Do you think that in time now more people are going to say, right, we need fitness is the answer to mental health problems, or at least a very good way of dealing with it, if not being the full answer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a huge stigma around this mental health thing and everyone experiencing it now and starting to have this more awareness that, like, oh man, maybe I should have listened to my friend that was saying they were anxious because now they're experiencing anxiety. And now, oh, maybe I should have listened to my friend that said they were depressed. And, so yeah, I think that awareness is coming to a level where it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool to go to therapy, and it's going to be cool to say I'm anxious and I'm managing my mental health. Um, and I think over time that's going to be the major change. And I think it's great, even though it's the process of the pain that we had to go through as a planet, as a species, because it wasn't, it's affecting you in the UK and United States and almost everywhere else. I think that we're going to go to another level when it comes to awareness and how we deal with our mental health issues.
I love that message, and I like that it is. It's the message of mental health, but also from what would typically be described and seen as a very masculine alpha sport and sort of industry. I mean, we talked about this back in episode 14 with Ben Ross when we had the men's mental health special episode, and we both talked about mental health stories and different things, and talked about mainly the stigma around men and talking about mental health. And it's fantastic that I mean it's kind of weird because I think a lot of guys without realizing do sort of combat sports and things like that there for their anxiety and their stress without realizing it and being able to sort of accept themselves that's the reason behind it. And I like that a lot more people now are seeing that it is kind of just it's just kind of a part of life and it's just kind of something you need to deal with when it comes up, and that these can be outlets and you can find sensible smart outlets for the anger, aggression, anxiety, stress.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, especially with men, but I think that with people in general, there's almost like what's the word? It's people don't necessarily have a place where they're allowed to be angry or aggressive. It's not necessarily socially acceptable. Like if you see somebody, really angry out and they're like screaming. Like you almost want to turn and walk away because it's not something that's socially acceptable. What what my program does, what boxing does, what fitness does, what people like myself, because I'm not the only one out there with this message. They give you a safe space to express your emotions because it's a part of us. Anger is a part of us. Aggression is a part of us. If we weren't aggressive, then we would have never uh, became the top of the food chain the way that we are. You know what I mean? We wouldn't have developed technologies and developed all these different things that we did if it wasn't for aggression. And what we need is balance.
Mhm. That's it. And I mean, I know sometimes there's the argument among some people the combat sports for teens or younger men, boys, is a bad thing. It encourages aggression and violence and fighting. But then you have the whole flip side of people that have actually maybe done a martial arts class, maybe been to a boxing session and see the difference. And I think what the problem is, I think people don't realize it is it's a lot of controlled aggression. Like when you talk about aggression and letting out your anger, it's not just haymakering someone and just going wheeling in. It is controlled aggression. It's finding a funnel for releasing it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it's an art, if you really think, like, if you think about it, the one of the most famous martial artists that most people know would be Bruce Lee. And it's like it did. And think about Bruce Lee's temperament. He was very, zen like. And you know I mean, he made it very clear that if you step to him and you would be destroyed. But at the same time, it was a controlled aggression. Like, there's this thing called an rage room. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but it's basically like a place where you go in and you just break things.
Oh, you can like hurl plates and like smash
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, sick.
And psychologists found that this is not good because it's blind aggression and it's no good. But the same reason why anger rooms don't work is the same reason why combat sports do, because you become to a new level of awareness. You know what I mean? And it's an art. It's an art form. You don't just go, like you said, you don't just go in there and haymaker. You go in there very tactfully, and you learn how to. I mean, because the truth of the matter is anger doesn't serve you in the ring. you know it doesn't serve you in those situations. It actually makes you more vulnerable. Then it doesn't give you more advantages. It takes it away. So you learn not to lead with aggression. You learn how to lead with finesse, with a what I call relaxed intensity. you know
That's it. And this is obviously all stuff you train in your program, and it is obviously is there a big difference? I'm not going to say there is because I've never just asked. Is there a big difference between what you train in your training system and what typical boxers would train? Is there a difference, or is it a case of it's the same sort of actions but a different story and a different teaching coming with the action?
it's the most detailed.
Right. Yeah.
Right? There's more details in
Mhm.
what I teach.
Okay.
And it's more organized. There's different pieces of it that make a greater picture. Now, essentially, if you're training for competition, these are all the lessons you need to learn in order to be ready for competition. And all the masters of the sport, they keep the secrets to themselves. So it's me basically saying, like, here, these are the things that I learned, and these are the things that served me, and these are the things that will serve you as well if you come into the sport with this intention. And that's why I call it intentional
Right.
boxing training.
So you teach it from your perspective of why you learned the box and what you got out of it, as opposed to how other people would teach their like or they would teach their mindset on it, as opposed to what you teach your mindset. That makes a lot more sense. Is in how people actually get a lot of benefit from what you teach and what you're putting out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And like I said, I learned these things from one of the, masters. I just simplified it and I dissected it. There was one of the things, like, I would, like, here's an example. You need to stay relaxed is something that you would hear from a coach. Relax, you got this. You know what I mean? And me, I teach the art of relaxed intensity. You know what I mean? I break down how to How do you go from um, feeling like I'm really petrified of getting hit in the face to get into a place where you're so relaxed that the punches don't hurt you, but you're not too relaxed to where you can't react and defend yourself intelligently. And so those are the differences, that the communication of what it is that I want you to do is very clear and strategic.
That's incredible. Wow. So would you have any advice then, sort of advice, tips for anyone that maybe is struggling with mental health, is thinking about going and doing a combat sport, maybe thinking about taking up boxing, but maybe just doesn't, maybe hasn't just pulled the trigger yet, maybe hasn't getting across the line? Be any advice for them to sort of push them to go and do it, to sort of try and get the help for it?
Yeah, and this might not sound like the answer you thought you were going to get, but I suggest that those people go see a therapist first. Go talk to somebody about what's going on with you, and or go talk to your doctor and ask them if they think that it's a good idea for them to start something like that, because it will help, you know what I mean? But it's not the tell all be all solution for everyone, you know what I mean? If you are just experiencing normal levels of stress, anxiety, depression, yes, go box. It's gonna be great for you. But if you are on the clinical side of depression, if you have anxiety disorder or something more serious, this might not be the environment for you to just jump into. Yeah, and that's part of the training that I'm providing to my coaches. Is if somebody comes to you and they're outside of your scope of practice, you need to refer them to one of our partners before we get started, because we care about them um, more so than just signing them up for our program and generating revenue for our business. What needs to happen first is that this person is in a position where this will be the best for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I mean, your goal in general is the help of other people. So if helping them is putting them towards a professional before they come to you, then that's, I mean, part of the course, it's the best system, or it's the best way of doing it. Let's put it that way. It's the easiest wording for it.
Yeah, and I'm a very particular person when it comes to doing things the right way, so to speak. Obviously, even though that's just an opinion of mine, but I sincerely believe that there's no skipping steps in your overall health and wellness.
Incredible. Yeah, definitely. Something else a little bit lighter. I just wanted to ask your opinion on before we finish up. I'm assuming you know boxing. You've seen the YouTube boxing that's been going on for the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And I assume you've heard about the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul fight.
Yes.
Opinion, from a boxing perspective, I would just like to see what someone from a boxing perspective thinks of that
You
entire
know,
matchup.
I have a mindset that is a little bit different. A lot of people feel like it's a joke and it's a detriment to the sport. And all the young boxers listening to this, think about how important it is for you to build your own brand. Because if you have a big enough brand, if you have a big enough audience, you could fight Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? Like, think about it like that. It's only creating opportunities. I When it comes to the matchup as it being an actual fight, there it's not. It's absolutely not. But it brings new eyes to the sport of boxing. And I hope that it brings a new mindset to fighters coming up about learning how to develop a brand and using social media. Because what will end up happening is you could probably start your own promotion companies, and promote yourself, just like Floyd did in a time where, social media wasn't as prevalent, but now it is. Like, opportunities, sky's the limit. So anybody that feels negatively about this YouTube boxing thing, man, build your brand and go out there and beat those guys up then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I say this all the time. I mean, you get people say, because obviously the Pauls are American, but over here in the UK we have KSI, and people are like, well, he's a YouTuber, and like he can't be a rapper, he can't be a boxer. It's like, well, he's had two professional boxing fights. He currently has two top 10 singles in the UK, currently, like, and the guy has like third highest subscribers ever. He's been doing this for over 10 years. I'm like, his brand is he's the most well-known person in Britain. You can ask anyone KSI and they'll go, I know the name, I know who that is. And like now you tell that boy he can't go and box, he'll do whatever he wants. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants, and that is the power of building a brand. And like I said, I think people should spend less time being upset about him being a rapper and doing what he wants to do, and spend more time building their brand. You know, and that's my thoughts on this whole thing and this whole ordeal.
The whole YouTube. What about Jake Paul? Because obviously Jake Paul isn't technically classed as a YouTube boxer anymore. Technically, he's a professional boxer. Would you would you assume that as well? He would you class him as a professional boxer now?
Um, I would still consider him to be a, YouTube influencer, boxer kind of thing. And until these guys step up and fight, people with their same experience level, it's until I see them in a competitive fight, you know what I mean, and not some cherry picked opponent. I'm going to continue to consider them as a marketing specialist that's using boxing to make a little bit more money. But don't get me wrong, though; these guys they put the work in, and I think in time, if they continue to do this, they will get in there with actual boxers, and I think they'll look good when that time comes. But until then, like this is entertainment. Like let's just be honest, it's entertainment.
Yeah, like Logan and Floyd isn't even a matchup that should happen. I mean, it's money, and I mean Mayweather is going to absolutely decimate him. I mean, and then you've got Logan Paul, right? His only chance is one big hit because he's a big boy, right? I'll give him his due. He's a big lad, but even then, I mean, you have to hit. You need one big hit, and you need to land that on Floyd, and he's going to be in and out and away. Like you're not going to get close enough to hit that big shot.
And the truth is, and a lot of people think that just because you're bigger, you land a good shot, you're gonna knock him out. You could probably hit him as hard. He could probably land that big shot, and he probably won't knock Mayweather out. Like you got to recognize that this guy has done this his whole life, and he knows what to do. And if you've ever watched his fights, and if you've ever seen him hurt, and you've ever seen how smart he is when he gets hurt, yeah, the guy doesn't punch harder than Canelo. You know what I mean? And Mayweather beat Canelo when he was in his early 20s. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah, let's not
yeah.
let's not speculate.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I think the problem is just that my problem with it is that I don't. If they were going to make the fight, I don't think Logan Paul should have got the fight. I reckon it should have been KSI. First of all, KSI has the bigger audience in worldwide. It would have been Britain versus America then, which means you would have got more British viewership and more travelers. KSI is just a bigger name. He said it himself as well, to be fair, and Joe Rogan said it. Like KSI would have been the bigger money fight. He beat Logan Paul, so why would you not go and fight him? And then someone made the absolutely ludicrous assumption like, but KSI could knock him out. No,
No, no.
no.
I
He's
I
still not getting
I
knocked out
don't
by a
know.
YouTuber. That's
Yeah,
the end comment.
all this is that Floyd is retired from professional fighting, and he wants to continue to use his name to
Make
um,
that bread.
make his money, and I'm not mad at him for it. You know what I mean? KSI would be a bigger payday, and maybe that will be. But I mean, if you follow Mayweather on Instagram, he's thrown out some names for fights, and 50 Cent is one of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just,
I
but
mean,
it is
but
what it is.
but people can say what they want about. I mean, you got people saying Mayweather needs some money, blah blah blah. But Mayweather's never stopped training. Like that man just trains. I think that's all he probably does is just lives in a gym constantly.
Yeah, what else would he do at this point? Like, what else would he do?
He has no other things. He just works out. He has nothing else hobby wise, I don't think, to do other
Yeah,
than
no,
spend money and make money.
other than spend his money, right?
That's
Yeah,
it.
I mean, yeah, this is what this guy has done always, forever. It's not going to change.
No, exactly. Well, look, that's awesome. Right out. Any final words from yourself?
Oh no, that's it. Just thanks for having me. And if anybody is needing some help or needing somebody to talk to, please come on over to my Instagram and talk to me. I'm very responsive in my DMs. Yeah, and I'm just happy to point anybody in the right direction.
Well, look, as I say again, I appreciate you coming on the show today. I appreciate taking the time, sit down and talk to me and spread your message, talk about the mental health side of it and what you're doing out there. And yeah, guys, for anyone who does want, Cleveland's links will all be in the description below. Go check them out. His Instagram, I'll put one in there for the website. Go check all that good stuff out. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on today, man.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Well, look, guys, that'll do it for this week again. If you did enjoy the video, go down, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you never miss an episode. And we'll be back again next week, another guest. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, see you next week.
Hello guys, how you doing? It's me, Jack, mate. You've just finished watching probably one of the best videos on YouTube. So why not take a moment to consider subscribing? And if you haven't already, hit the like button and turn the notification bell on. Apparently it helps. I don't know how. It was good to know, wasn't it?